Recording in progress.
All right. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Perfect. So while everyone joins, Gopa and I were speaking about the market earlier, all the changes in the market, inflation being at 6.7%, US inflation nearly at 8% or a little higher than 8 as they anticipate. A lot of changes happening in the market now. We're seeing a lot of properties listings up, not even budget. So that's something that is definitely interesting. We've been seeing that for the last month, I would say, a couple months, especially for properties well over $1 million. And I think we're going to continue to see that, especially with the rise in interest rates. But what, in every situation that we see, there's always a positive. Whoever's working with buyers, this is the best time to get the greatest deals. Some mortgages that I'm working on, I'm getting clients and agents call on a weekly basis right now. Not luckily it's not on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis, with appraisals coming very low, right? Because the property next door, clients have bought a townhouse for 1.3 million, and the next door has now sold for 1.1 million, a $200,000 difference. So scenarios like this are coming up. If you're working on a purchase right now for your client, best thing is start the mortgage process as soon as possible. Of course, this is not affecting properties under, not really affecting properties under $1 million right now, but over $1 million, definitely get the mortgage process started immediately so you don't run into these issues. But on the hindsight, great for the buyers to get a good deal at this time in today's market. So
yeah,
that's definitely it.
Yeah, actually, that's the point. Although it's a balanced market, right? I mean, it's again, it's favoring slightly on the buyer side, right? I mean, and again, if you really look at on a daily's listing and all that, some of them, it's rightly priced, it is moving correctly, right? I mean, where the problem comes where the inflated price, that's the one, the over asking game is where it's actually, I guess, it is getting impacted, right?
Definitely. There's a lot of changes, but at the same time, I've seen an email sent throughout our HomeLife groups, and a few people are getting 13, 15 offers on a property. So it depends on the areas that you're servicing. Brampton, Mississauga, you see a lot of change there, and the Durham region as well, Markham region, so some sorts of areas as well. But again, it really depends on where the listing is taking place. But yeah, there's a lot of listings on the market, right? So right now it's changing from a seller's market to a mediocre one to a buyer's market. So we'll probably see that soon enough. Yeah, so some recent changes that I wanted to talk about. We're talking about interest rates a lot. I've been getting a lot of calls from clients, and I was in a broker meeting with TD Bank this week. And something that we discussed, before Gopa takes over the session, the interest rates have been going up periodically now. This year we've seen a 0.75 increase from the Bank of Canada. For fixed rate holders, of course, there's no changes in your payments whatsoever. There's no changes on your contractual mortgage with the bank as well, right? But now whoever holds variable rate mortgages. Now, to everyone, that we have around 40 people on the call. I think everyone should be aware of this. Variable rates, of course, everyone knows it changes based on the Bank of Canada interest rate, right? Majority of the time, it doesn't cost the consumer a penny, depending on the institution that you're with, because the principal and interest changes based on the Bank of Canada increases or decreases, right? So if the Bank of Canada increases their rates, if you're paying $2,300 a month for your mortgage, the amount of principal, amount of interest, the interest component of that $2,300 is going to go up while the principal goes down. So that's what you usually see when the Bank of Canada, there's any rate changes. But now there's a lot of chatter about how consumers are going to be paying out of their pocket. So if their mortgage is $2,300, they're going to probably be paying now $2,600 out of their pocket, $200, $300 more. We're seeing this a lot, especially with the $1 million plus mortgages. Why? Because there's something called the trigger rate. So I'm just going to read out an article that one of our broker managers out of TD Bank sent. And I'm just going to bring it down to the main concept here. So everyone knows the spread between a fixed mortgage and a variable rate mortgage, right? So most of our clients now have been choosing variable rate mortgages. Why? Because the interest rates have been lower or lower. So, but what we need to know is the Bank of Canada changes, right? 75 bids, 0.75% has been the recent changes this year, and we're expecting another 0.75. Anyone that has a mortgage with Scotiabank, you're going to be automatically seeing an increase in your mortgage payment if you have a variable mortgage. Why? Because the way Scotiabank does is they don't increase your amortization, they don't decrease your amortization. Whatever the extra charges are, they increase it directly in your payment. Scotiabank is one of the only banks that do this. You can speak to them if your clients are concerned about a higher price, but I've been getting calls left, right, and center for those who have Scotiabank mortgages because their payments are going up. My brother-in-law called me the other day. He has a $2.5 million mortgage with Scotiabank. Property's well over $5 million, and his payments went up by $1,000. Of course, he can handle the payment increase, but that's an extra $1,000 that you're paying that you didn't expect, right? So $12,000 in a year. So with that being said, it's important for us to educate our clients regarding our customers regarding the changes and the effects on the changes of the variable rate mortgage or the Bank of Canada interest rate hikes. So there's something called the trigger point. Basically, the trigger point is when the contractual payment and interest component no longer covers the interest payment on the mortgages. So let's just say your mortgage payment is $3,000 a month, right? If your payment is $3,000 a month, let's just say the interest is $1,500 and then the principal is $1,500, vice versa. If the Bank of Canada's credit interest rate goes high enough, there's going to be a scenario where the interest can't go high enough to keep it within the $3,000 payment range. So that's the trigger point. So what we're seeing now is Scotiabank will add the extra payments automatically, while TD will wait for the trigger point to come in place. CIBC will wait for the trigger point to be surpassed. And also BMO is another bank that will increase your amortization. So you just pay the additional interest within the mortgage payment over the years. So things like this, we're going to be coming across and seeing. So far, but any clients that have Scotiabank mortgages are the ones that are easily seeing the effects of increased payments. Soon, long enough, we're going to see TD having the same scenario. Whoever has TD Bank mortgages, they're going to be coming across seeing those increased payments due to the Bank of Canada increasing interest rates. CIBC soon forth we'll be seeing that from them as well. And BMO will be increasing the amortization period. So then the clients are just paying the additional interest due to the interest rate hike within the life of the mortgage, which basically means that they're paying more interest than necessary. I always recommend to tell your consumers if cash flow is good enough to maintain payments or to increase payments on their own. Gopa, I just got to grab the door. You can carry on for now. I'm going to be back in a second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting topic. I think, even I'm also interested to hear that. Me being a consumer, wanted to know that, what's the effect. And can I mention that, educate your customer. So what maybe when he comes back, what are we actually telling them? Like, okay, fine, the payment is going up. So there is anything which we can actually advise, right? So just wanted to actually ask his take. So Kana, while you were away, I was saying that, just, it's a great point. Even I'm interested to hear. I'm also actually concerned about my mortgage, right?
Yeah,
it's with CIBC. So what you mentioned that, you have to educate and I'm asking for everybody, right? Maybe, so what do we actually tell our consumers? Just as, okay, the interest rate is going up. So what are we educating them? Just giving the heads up?
I would say the simple answer, without going into the nitty gritty or the main, the main specifics of how it works. I think a simple way to address this to our clients is that definitely you'll be seeing an your payments going higher based on the interest rate hikes, really depending on the lenders that we're with. Again, Scotiabank is a bank that if the interest rate goes higher from the Bank of Canada, automatically whoever has a variable rate mortgage, they're going to be increasing it. So initially, the Bank of Canada increased the interest rate by 0.25% earlier this year. Automatically, per $100,000, consumers would have seen, especially whoever has a Scotiabank variable rate mortgage, they would have seen a $13 increase per $100,000 that they've borrowed on their mortgage. Right. So if it's $1 million mortgage, it's $130 on a monthly basis that they would have seen an increase of. With the recent increase on a few weeks ago from the Bank of Canada of 0.5 bibs. So in total, we have seen 0.75. So with the recent increase, people are noticing a $24 increase per $100,000 that they've borrowed, right? So $240 for $1 million mortgage. Consumers that have mortgages with Scotiabank variable rate mortgage are seeing that immediately, that being completely added on top of your payments, right? So Scotiabank is one consumers are already aware of. So if you have clients that have Scotiabank variable rate mortgages, they're already aware that their payments went up. Those that have mortgages with institutions such as RBC, CIBC, TD, they're going to be seeing increases soon forth, especially TD. TD looks at the trigger rate. So the trigger rate, as I explained before, is, let's just say your payment is $2,500 a month and you're paying principal and interest. When the interest portion goes so high based on the Bank of Canada's interest rate hikes, it's going to go to a point where that $3,000 you're paying a month is not going to be covering that interest rate hike. So automatically it's surpassing the trigger point where TD says, sorry, but you have to pay now extra because of the increased interest from the Bank of Canada. BMO, on the other side, what they're doing is they're doing something very consumer friendly, let's just say. If you get a 30-year mortgage and the interest rates are going up, instead of them charging on top for the consumer, for our clients to pay as a mortgage, what they're doing is that they're increasing the amortization period. So that means a 30-year mortgage is now going to take you 30 years and a half or 31 year to pay off. Why? Because that interest is being added back in. So at the end of the day, clients are paying the interest regardless, right? But it's just being prolonged of how that's being paid for. Again, interest upon interest, right? Banks are handling this in many different ways. What we have to educate our clients or advise our clients of is that with the recent hikes in interest rates, definitely they're going to be seeing a difference depending on what institution they're with. And also with the anticipated 0.75 increase for the later end of this year, there's going to be some more increases in payments, that's for sure. Another thing is, there's already been a big chatter with the amount of interest rate hikes that's been happening. All five of the top big banks were having a discussion earlier this week regarding that. And the conclusion the economists and all the other professionals came to was that if there is a significant hike like what we're seeing right now and what we're anticipating, it's going to really affect consumers to a point that certain individuals cannot afford their payments, right? So it really works on the downfall of the banks as well. So in this case, I think the economists' view and also the government's view is all going to be put into place. Hopefully, there's going to be, we definitely will see an interest rate hike, further to what we have already seen. However, we'll find out if it's going to be going past that 0.75 for this year. We'll see. That's yet to come, but it's something to expect. And with all the interest rates and also the government, regulations as of April 13th, Selvana had a real nice discussion about the changes in, based on that. To be honest, the government's rules and policies regarding foreign buyers, increased down payment, CMHC, discussing about increasing down payments to 25% for investment properties, not being able to use refinanced funds in order to purchase investment properties. All of those talks, I think they're going to be affecting the market very minimal. what's going to be affecting the market the most would be the interest rate hikes, because that's what fears the consumers the most. Although it's a small price that we pay towards purchasing an investment, of course. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes in the markets. We're already seeing that with listings, a lot of listings coming on board, a lot of listings staying there, not moving. It's something that is definitely we're going to see a lot more of. But yes, soon we'll find out.
Yeah, and actually, when these kind of things happens, obviously all the buyers and all that, they will slow down, right? I mean, it's people think that okay, it's going to go further down, and it's like share market. When anything happen, they'll just keep quiet and see that how it's going to. And especially those who are investors and all that, those are the one they're going to sit quiet, and maybe that's the effect we are also seeing in the market, right? I mean, there are a lot of listing coming in the market because, as you mentioned, the bigger houses are all still, it's not moving that fast, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's my little speech in the morning. Gopa, I'm going to leave it back up to you.
No, that was nice. Actually, it was really useful, and it's an interesting topic because people don't need to know that what is happening in the market, why this is slowing down, right? I mean, it is also, so actually it's important that these are the ripple effect. And
100%,
again,
yeah.
I mean, again, this will always be there. These kind of things will happen. They will do some correction, then this will bounce back, and that's where we need to know that how to manage that tide, right?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. All right.
Okay. All right. So again, everybody, thank you for joining this. I think I will share my screen.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for joining, everyone. And again, we were talking about Kanna actually brought up some interesting topic about how the market and all. So it's very critical for all of you to know that what's happening in the market, right? I mean, when you actually talk in any public place, or I hope you all can see my screen. No?
No, it went away. 1 second. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I just want to make sure that is, like, I mean, this is again, now it's even more critical. How do you filter the right customers, right? I mean, before you actually go ahead and spend time and all that. So because it's very important from the get-go, you filter your right pre-qualifying process. It's an important stage at markets like this, because you are going to spend a whole lot of time, because again, when what happens if you're working with the buyer, when there is a lot of options are available, the buyers become very choosy, right? I mean, they're not going to put an offer the way they used to do it for the last 2 years. So they know that there are a lot of inventory, so they're going to actually take a lot of your time to go and see different places and all that. So, and also, so that can actually slow down the entire process when they see more option. I think again, it's going off I don't think they can see my screen now.
Try it again, Gopa.
Okay, yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think now they can see, right? Yeah. All right. So, just it is very important that is you pre-qualify all the customers before you actually going to take them, that start showing the process. It's very important to spend some time in just really filtering those customers. So again, we spoke about prospecting, right? I mean, prospecting, this is the backbone of your business. Like, this is, you have to consistently do this. There is no way, or nobody can actually stay in the business without prospecting. So this is, and even markets like this, it is even more critical, right? So you probably will have to spend, like, block your time in prospecting on a daily basis. So there is no excuse for this, because it's very important right now to get into the business. Because as I mentioned, like, when the market goes like this, people are going to actually wait and watch what's going to happen, and they wanted to see that how the market trend is going to go. So it is your job to stay on top of it and stay connected with the people, the hot leads, like, you keep them updated. One thing we should be actually doing it, if anybody who has actually spoken to you about buying, or even for that matter selling, like, give them that confidence. And how do you actually do that? You have to stay connected on a daily basis with the people who are actually, if you're working with somebody, send them the listing, right? I mean, send them the MLS listing on a daily basis. If you are actually give, how do we give the confidence? Like, show them the listing, and if there is something on actually sold on that same price. Basically, what you're actually convincing them, yes, market is actually slowing down and this is what it is, but actually giving them because we can't control the market, right? I mean, it is we mentioned about the ripple effect what the market is going to have. So all those things is what it's driving the price. So your job is to give them the data. That is the difference between a layman and a professional, like, you other professional person, right? I mean, you are in this business, so you are talking based on the data, right? I mean, not just actually what is in the social media and the speculations. You're not actually talking, you're based on that. You need to put them the data. The numbers talk the truth. So how do we actually, when you're talking to somebody, if some client is actually working with you as a buyer, and then he's actually on the fence right now, so move them, that buyer, to from the fence to the decision making point. It is your job to show them the data. And the data you're going to actually show them is basically send the MLS listing, right? I mean, on a daily basis, this is what it's coming in the market. If there is something which, if somebody, let's imagine like someone who's actually looking for $1 million town home in a certain area, so send those listing on a daily basis, right? And also send them the sold properties in that way, right? And so it's giving them the confidence. Yes, it's moving. It is this is the price range, and you're actually, instead of just calling up and talking to them on a daily basis, that's one way of convincing them and sharing the data with them, right? So it is very important that is you continue to do this at this market, because that's what if people are actually going to, those who are, especially the buyers who are sitting on the fence, you have to convince them at some point, right? So again, when you're prospecting, use a trash can, right? I mean, basically the reason is, accept that cycle. It's not that all of them are actually going to buy with you, right? I mean, it is, there will be a point, like maybe they have actually saw that, okay, this is not actually going to make sense, and maybe they are actually just wanted to try it out how the market is actually responding. So there will be a lot of things and behind that. So it is important when you're prospecting, you need to actually filter the good lead from the bad lead. Otherwise, what happened, the bad leads hide the great ones from you, because you're spending a lot of energy on the one who's not going to make any decision, and you're actually going to spend them. So on that way, the good ones, you're actually not spending enough energy on that. So that it is important that, and how do we actually know that? And you think about those things which we have discussed in all these years, the objection handling and the negotiation and all those things. At what point they are actually standing there? There are certain people, like, I mean, they just wanted to actually fish around. They just wanted to actually see that. So you have to start gauging those people, and then if it is not making any sense in working with them, you have to put them in the back burner, and then start looking around the people as a good lead, because it's a very critical time. This is important time, because it's going to be a testing time going to come. So you need to really filter the good leads and the bad leads. And again, overcome the prospecting phobia, by starting the real plan. Like, I mean, we spoke about the business plan. And a business plan, this is again, this is the time, guys. Like, I mean, the actual business, the testing time comes right now, because all this time were, something was driven the market, and everybody was actually getting lead, and everybody wants to buy, and now that bandwagon is going to slow down. So it is important that is you come up with, again, that doesn't mean it's going to affect the industry very badly and all that. It is, people will still be successful even at this time, those who have got a solid plan. So it is important that is you need to have that business plan, and how much time you're going to prospect in a week, in a day, and what's your prospecting plan. We spoke about the 3S, right? Your schedule, your strategy, and the system. Like, you have to really have those 3S in your business plan. How the schedule is, like what time you're going to start, and what's your prospecting plan, and how much time you're going to do it. All those things, like, it's very important that is you need to overcome that prospecting phobia. So and that will only start with a proper plan, with that proper business plan, right? So think, this is actually just a statistics. Think about this: where buyers first learned about their house they purchased. Doesn't mean open house is not a good thing. Open house is definitely an important thing. And especially, my point here is, like, not that many people, the buyers, actually buy through an open house. Having said that, open house is a great tool to market yourself, to market the product, and also, like, I mean, giving that your name up there in the market. So don't stop the open house. That doesn't mean open house is a waste of time. That's not my point. People who are actually buying through from, I don't think, and I'm almost positive that is you all would agree, very rarely people will come and buy when you're doing an open house, right? I mean, they will definitely come and see the place. Maybe that will be a lead or for a later time, or you will get some reference, and all those things will happen. And that's why open house is an important thing. But in terms of, like, the transaction, when it's converting that into a transactions, is very low. And sellers directly is also very low, and in newspapers or magazine. So if you look at the last 2 points, which is internet and the agent. So my point here is, still majority of the business transaction happens through real estate agents, right? So but this is a good news. Like, I mean, still the real estate agents are actually, people are buying and selling through the real estate agents. So the business is still strong. And this statistics, I took it in last year December. So not much of changes still. Again, and 3-4 months, it's not that. So it's still. And internet is also actually, around 32%. Internet comes from all social medias and all the, realtor.com, house sigmas, and all those things are also an important thing right now. So you as a real estate agents, like, you are you have to be really active in that agency network, like, how you're actually doing that. And the second thing is through the internet, like whatever the social medias and all that, it is you have to have a good presence in there. So majority of the business, around 60-65% of the business is coming from internet and the agent through that is the agency business is coming through your prospecting, your networking, and you're actually being in the market, like, through your door knocking and all those kinds of things. The prospecting is what you're doing. So that's where the business is going to come from. So this is something, like, think about some of the, and I'm almost sure that is you all would agree to that. What is the reason? Like, there is a statistics, right? 3 in, 3 up, and 3 down. That means if 3 people are actually coming into the real estate business and 3 are doing really well, 3 are actually exiting from the business. The reason why they're exiting from the business is because they think that this business is too hard. Yes. So the business is actually, like, when people will really exiting, is that because that they think that this business is too hard, and it's not meant for too much of competitions, and like, I mean, that's the reason they come up with an zero plan, and they think that this business is easy to get into the make money, but at the same time there is no plan in that, right? So those are the people actually really exit. And the reason why they actually fail in the real estate, first thing is they won't prospect. right? I mean, if you don't prospect, where the business is going to come in? Like it's not that. And that's why it is very important to understand the backbone of your business is prospecting. Like whether whatever the plan it is, whether you're actually networking, social networking, or door knocking, or calling up people or reaching out to the people. Prospecting is, again, we mentioned that two sets of prospecting. One prospecting is people whom you know and people whom you don't know, right? People whom you know is, think about your friends and family, the center of influence, and your like, I mean, work colleagues, and all those things are the people whom you know. People whom you don't know is reaching out to, like, through the door knocking, reaching out to for sale by owners, and WCE, which is withdrawn, cancel, expired listing. Like, and look at that. Obviously, you have to look at the legal obligations and all that. If there is any holdover period and all that, you need to actually see that, and reaching out to those people. And those are the people whom, like, people whom you don't know, prospecting. So the first reason you will fail as a real estate agent is if you don't prospect, you're going to fail. So there's, because obviously, where the business is going to come. The second thing is you won't follow up, right? I mean, the majority of the times you speak to somebody, they show some interest. Second time you call, and then if they don't show the interest, the tendencies are like, I mean, you will just drop it. So that's not a right approach. It is important that is you gauge that what's their interest level, what is actually stopping them to make that decision, and think about the negotiation and the objection handling points and all that. And once you manage that, then you need to actually do have a proper follow-up. But that said, like, if certain time when you know that that's not something you wanted to do business, it is absolutely fine to move away from them. But your job is to follow up and understand, what's that, what is stopping them, like, I mean, it's a follow-up is an important thing. Again, the statistics says that the real estate transaction happen only on the fourth contact with the client. So first, second, third is not generally that business doesn't happen. Your fourth contact is where actual conversation starts, right? Because they wanted to have the trust on you, unless if they haven't actually dealt with you in the past. They wanted to know that how you do business, what it is, because it's an important decision for them. Think about their around, majority of the people, that is the only saving source for many people in Canada, right? So it is important that is you give that trust, and the trust building it's not going to happen in the first meeting or second meeting and all that. So only on the fourth meeting is where actual that relationship, actual that trust building going to happen. So it is important that is you follow up with them to get to that point, right? And again, bad experience throw you into the downward spiral, because you think that this business is too hard. I've been following up, I've been actually door knocking, and nobody's actually opened the door. People are rude, and all those kind of bad experience throw you into the downward spiral. So it's right, it's a demotivating, but at the same time, your job is to look for that person who is going to say yes to you, right? So that's why. So you don't want that should be your goal when you're prospecting on a daily basis. Your morning goal should be like, there is somebody in this area who wants to buy or sell. Let me find that person. That should be your statement to yourself on a daily basis, right? You don't know who that person is. Like, I mean, you talk to 100 of them, but 99 is going to say no. Your job is to find out that person who's going to say yes to you, right? And then, the other one is thinking this business is too hard. Remember, there is no business is easy. Like, you think about the dental, the grocery store, and restaurants, and all that. It's actually really competition. They all have the tight competition from everywhere, right? So it's not that this business is absolutely, it's not easy, but at the same time, this business is not that too hard either. Like, if you have a plan in place, if you have a business plan, if you really have a, know what you wanted to achieve from this, it is definitely, and it is achievable. And that's the reasons you will see a lot of people who are successful in this business, right? And the other one is the reason you fail is the making the same mistake over and over. Like, what is again, whether it is not having a business plan, not prospecting properly, or actually calling up the client, and like there is no follow-up. So or the way you actually deal with the customers, or their satisfaction, the customer service is actually haywire. So all those things is what, making the mistake over and over is some things which you need to really, each transaction when you do it, when you do a closing, you as a professional should evaluate that how did you get this business, how did you manage this, what was the hurdles, what went well, and what was some things which you can pick up it. That is what you need to reflect, that things from each transactions, that will really give you an idea about how you can improve for the next time, right? You can, and I understand that not each scenario is not going to be the same, this business is very different, but at the same time there are certain common themes which you can definitely take from that previous experience, right? Whether it is how what was that good things which happened with this one, whether it is bias and all that. So it's important that is you evaluate on each transaction when it happens, what went well and what could have do better than this, right? Choosing comfort over success, like this is something which we mentioned, that remember, like nobody is there to actually monitor you, what time you're going to come, what time you're going to actually stop the work and all that. Like you are your boss. So if you decide not to get up in the morning and not to actually prospect and all that, it's up to you. Like I mean, absolutely, like you are the one going to be responsible for that. If you actually going to not going, okay, you're choosing comfort over success, then obviously you can't blame on that one. Creating a team is actually, this is don't think that this is only for people who are really established agents. You can, people who are beginners, or also actually you should create a team based on your like-minded people, or based on your like where in your career you should have a team in that, as a you know counterpart, like I mean somebody who's actually going to be watch you on that one. Like I mean you are responsible for each other, like whether it is you're doing door knocking, have an accountability partner, right? I mean basically you're saying that having that conversation with that accountability partner is actually an important thing. It's a motivational thing. Like I mean you can actually say that somebody is saying that, okay, let's do an door knocking together, or let's have a like I mean come to the office, or let's do something together, like that's creating the team is definitely an accountability partner is a very effective tool to keep you focused on that. And the outlook is too short-sighted, right? Outlook is basically you're going to think that, okay, you know what, I mean this is going to be easy, I'm going to get the business soon, or I'll be able to actually close a deal quickly. So that's not right. There are a lot of effects behind to get the deal closed at the end of the, even after closing also there are responsibilities, certain real estate agents will have to do it. So you need to fully aware of the A to Z process and how well you are actually going to be involved in each one of them, and focus on your expenses instead of focus on the growth of business, right? um, Initially there is a cost of doing business. Be aware of that. You don't want to cut corner on those things, but at the same time be mindful where you wanted to spend money and what's your like I mean business model. Regardless, like this is a business, you're starting a business, so there will be a cost involved into it. So you want to make sure that is the today's investment is what it's actually going to help you to get the future return. So this, just think of this, some of those points, and I'm sure that we all will know that some of them we are all actually doing it, right? I mean 10 reasons that is you will fail as a real estate agent. So there is these are easily avoidable, right? I mean prospecting, you can have a plan and follow up and all those things, and it is, but it is important that is you be aware of that, what are the pitfalls you are actually going into it and how can you avoid those ones, right? So this, we spoke about this one, right? I mean, do you have a strategy, do you have a schedule, and do you have a system? So a strategy is, again, what is your game plan, what's your action plan to get this right? I mean, how are you actually going to do it? And are you only going to go work on with the pre-construction, or are you going to do the resale, or if it is just on a leasing and renting and all that, what is your strategy, and where are you going to do the farming, or like I mean are you going to go on the commercial side or the residential? What is the game plan? You need to have a clear idea about that, right? Each one will have different things based on where you're in your career and what's your like, I mean, lifestyle or a part-timer or a full-timer, like, I mean, all those things will be actually have the strategies. What's your strategy? And do you have a schedule? Schedule is like, as I said, that you don't want to choose comfort over success. So you need to have a schedule, like whether it is scheduling, not just starting the day, like schedule for everything. Prospecting in a week, how many hours you're going to do for prospecting, and what are the specific time to do prospecting. Not that just you just keep calling people and all that, not like that. So you need to have that schedule, proper schedule onto that. And the last one is the system. System is something which is not the computer system we're talking about. The system, how do you actually handle a client from prospecting till closing, right? And what are the things when you get the client, you got the some as a lead, you worked with them, and then you look at the your showing process. When you're actually showing, it's a buyer client, how you actually booking the appointments, how you actually communicating that, then you're putting an offer, assisting them with negotiating the contract. So what's the systems you're actually going through that? And that's why I mentioned that you need to evaluate on each transactions. Once you do this, how is it actually going to help you, and what are the things you need to improve that. So that system is an important thing. You need to really see that. So basically your business plan is this is the holistic picture of your business plan and the real estate business, right? I mean, so it is very important that is you be aware of that. So this again, creating lead through networking, right? I mean, how do we actually do that? Rule number one, knowing what to say. And that's why I really like that Kanna always actually start giving you some tips what's happening in the market, which is very important. That is when somebody actually start talking to you about how the market is actually doing, right? You need to know that what to say, right? I mean, again, exactly, we are going to be different than in a social gathering. People will be talking about all kinds of speculations, whereas you cannot speculate. You have to talk with the data. You have to talk with facts. That's what the difference you're going to show from the people in the crowd than others, right? I mean, because you're a professional, you should know that this is what it is. Like, yes, there is the reason, it is balanced right now. This is the reason. And, like, I mean, the ripple effect. So knowing what to say, it's an important thing. And when you have questions, obviously in any kind of gathering or people, when you're prospecting, you expect the questions will come. Like, I mean, people will have actually all kinds of things, question will come. So you need to be prepared to answer that, and you need to actually bite your tongue and have that patience in responding that and prepare to answer that, right? And generally, like you in today's market or at any point, this kind of couple of common questions. How's the market? People always wanted to know about the real estate market, because everybody is actually watching real estate market. How's the market? Market is, like, what do you think about the interest rate? Do you know now it's a good time to buy or a sell, right? I mean, so certain things you can always expect such kind of questions. So you need to be prepared. It doesn't mean this is the only questions you will come, but in general, as a casual conversations, this will be kind of an icebreaker kind of questions. You can expect that, right? So now comes on the pre-qualifying. Pre-qualifying doesn't mean that is actually you're pre-qualifying their mortgage ability. That is definitely is one part of it, right? I mean, it's a people who has got the ability to buy and also the desire to buy, right? I mean, so it is important that is you pre-qualify on the both side. What is their the willingness? What is their like, I mean, are they really serious about that? So and pre-qualifying process will set you apart from competition, because you have done the due diligence from the right get-go, right? When you're actually doing that before you taking into the process. Otherwise, you continue to show them some houses, and then when the time comes to put an offer, if they're really not serious about it, or if they're not really actually mortgage qualified, it's a very bad way of dealing the customer, right? I mean, whereas you have done the due diligence from the get-go, so there is your objection handling, all the questions have actually all cleared on all that, and during the pre-qualifying process, then your thing is like, show the houses, something, select, and then put an offer because you already agreed upon all those things, right? And it looks more professional because you're well planned, you are actually prepared your clients what can affect, and how do you actually it's also saving a lot of your time as well, right? Because there is not much of time in the during last time you had explained everything. You need to put the down payment this much when you like the house, the process like this, and then you will have 2 months of closing period or 3 months, whatever the time. So that's the time you need to get the mortgage. So you have done all that and they agreed on it. Then only you should start actually showing the houses, like seriously, like initially. Sometimes people say that, well, some people, they want me to show the houses. That's okay to show them, but be mindful how much time you're actually spending that without pre-qualifying. You should actually pre-qualify 100% of your customers before that. And also, more control, right? I mean, you will have more control on that because you already know that what they want. Can they go more than $1 million? Can they actually afford to go that? Because it's their mortgage, it's also actually really do that. It's 100% of the times you should have the conversation about pre-qualifying and their ability to buy and also the desire to buy, right? I mean, you need to have actually evaluate both the points. I mean, again, when you're pre-qualifying, what are you actually really looking at? That people who have to sell and want to sell, same like people who wants to buy, or are they just fishing around, right? I mean, so you need to really, when you're pre-qualifying, that's what you're really going to gauge that. And how do we get that when you're having the conversation? For example, the probing questions. Okay, when do you want to move? Okay, yeah, well, I mean, if somebody think about the things which you should be mindful about, that when they say something by end of March or by end of April, so that means they are serious about certain things. Like, I mean, that doesn't mean that's the only thing, but they have certain things which is associated with that buying or selling. Like it's like a kind of a confirmation to you, yes, these people are actually serious about it, right? Same like, you need to ask them, so may I ask you, where are you living right now? Are you, oh, well, I mean, I'm actually living in a townhome. So what's the plan? Well, I'm actually going to upgrade. Okay, like, I mean, are you living in a 3-bedroom house? Like, so you're looking for 4-bedroom house, right? I mean, those kind of things. So, and it's just the probing questions, like before you actually start showing them and spending time in doing that, you need to really do that probing questions and get the bottom of their idea. Like, what are they actually planning? What is their, are they serious about that? And do your pre-qualifying while setting the appointment, right? I mean, when your actually appointment start showing that, sometime you have to show them in the beginning. You may not get that because, you just have to have the relationship. That's up to you. And also sometimes you have already worked with somebody and the people, then it's fine. But make it a point that is you're going to do the pre-qualifying in that before you start showing people, and then before you actually putting an offer to that. So it is very important to do that, right? And what happens, think about that, those who do not pre-qualify, they spend more time frustrated with themselves because obviously you're taking them around, showing them houses, but they are not making the buyer is not making any decision, right? And as I said in the beginning, it's even more critical right now, market like this, you pre-qualify 100% of your customer, because there are a lot of inventory for the buyers. So the buyers can become very choosy and they will actually prolong the decision. They think that, okay, you know what, I don't want this, I don't want that. But get that point across, like, convince them this is what you can afford, this is what it's actually there, like, I mean, it's a getting them. So otherwise you will be spending a lot of time and you get frustrated for your that, right? Taking overpriced listings. Sometimes if you're a listing agent, like, because you haven't actually done that pre-qualifying their desire, like, are they really serious about it, right? I mean, are their expectation is right for this market? If they're saying that if the house is only worth it's a 2 million, whereas if they're expecting as a 2.5, you still go ahead and take the listing. It's because you're hungry, you did not do the due diligence, you are actually not really did the pre-qualifying, and that's reasons you are sometimes you end up taking the overpriced listing, right? Because sometimes an overpriced listing is not, if it is not saleable, it's not a listing. Sometimes it is actually in a backfire you. So and again, working on non-income producing hours, because obviously there is nothing going to happen. You're spending time with the person who does not want to make any decision. You're working with the non-producing hours, right? And this is like your hourly rate. Hourly rate is your professional, so you have to actually put an hourly rate for what you're doing it. So that is also going to actually threaten. And majority of the time, those who does not pre-qualify, they don't really prospect, because when you prospect, you have solid customers, you have solid lead, so you will definitely work with the people who are more serious buyers and the sellers. Whereas if you don't prospect, when you get something, you're actually really happy to work with them, but not without doing any due diligence, you will be spending with somebody who's not really going to do business with you, right? So ultimately, prospecting is definitely an important thing that will help you to pre-qualifying. So first you do the prospecting, then the pre-qualifying. Actually pre-qualify, although we mentioned that pre-qualifying, use a trash can when you prospect, right? But pre-qualifying will increase your listing, because you're going to work with the people who really who want to buy, and who has got the desire to buy, and who has got the ability to buy and sell, right? So the pre-qualifying, it generally actually only increase the listing. People think that well, I'm going to lose that if I that's not true, because that person anyway, if then in the pre-qualifying process, if you're losing somebody, that person anyway not. So it is important that is when you're pre-qualifying it, to understand that it's only going to increase the listing, not on the other way around. And as I said that, prompt the customer to get additional answers for vague or unclear responses. So vague or unclear responses, for example, well, we haven't decided when to move, right? Okay, so that's a very vague. So you need to know that, okay, so you haven't decided, but what is there any timeline? Like, I mean, if we see a house, right? And if you like it, if it is going to meet with all your needs, and if it is within the budget, if you're putting an offer within 2 months, are you ready to buy, right? I mean, are you ready to move in, right? I mean, those kind of like probing questions and unclear responses, it is, you need to really throw that thing and then get the buying in, right? And same, like, some of the other example about the unclear answer is, well, we don't know, like, I mean, my wife is actually not, or my spouse, or my whoever it is not decided, we don't know what it is, like, again. So that's where you need to stop and make sure that is okay, let's get all the decision makers on the table before we go further. Like, let's get that, and what is that? So you need to probe them, you need to help them in making that decision, those who are sitting on the fence, right? And that will help you to be more proactive, like, because the pre-qualifying will help you to be proactive in your listing presentation, because you have already, when you're doing the pre-qualifying, you've already actually addressed majority of their concern and addressed majority of their objections, like you have convinced them, right? And in that sort of listing presentations, you can address those ones. So Mr. Buyer, you said you are willing to move by end of April, right? I mean, is that right? Like, I mean, those kind of things, reconfirming those questions, and also that will really help you to that. And understand you might lose prospect during pre-qualifying, that's okay, right? I mean, because as I said that if you're losing a customer during a pre-qualifying, it is okay to lose at that point rather than later, because you spend hours and hours, and then you later on you're finding out this person is not going to do business. It is better that is, if they're not going they're not going to proceed further in the beginning itself, at least you can actually focus on the good lead rather than wasting time on someone who's not going to do business later on, right? So this is an important thing. Pre-qualify the decision makers, one-legged appointment. Like, you don't want to have, as I said, that if both the decision makers, or whoever the decision makers, father, mother, or partners and all that, you have to make sure it is, again, you as a professional need to ask that probing question, is there anyone else is going to be there? Okay, that when you work into a family, there is who are the other things. And when they see the house, once you get that, if it is listing, you need to go and the geo warehouse, understand all this, who all are the owners registered in the geo warehouse. Make sure that all the registered people are on the table when each of your conversations, whatever your decision is going to do that, right? You don't want it to go with what the customers are saying it. You need to do your due diligence, and that's why we have the tools. As I mentioned, that we're not actually doing with just speculating or assuming things. You have to talk as a professional with the data and the facts. So if somebody actually listing it, okay, who all are the owners? If you're saying that the person is saying that, but go back and check into the MLS, check the geo warehouse, check, make sure that is there anyone else registered in that name, in that house, right? I mean, so make sure that is you get everybody on that same. So same like, in the buyer side, if it is, if it's only spouse, or in all of a sudden when you start showing houses and somebody, you put an offer, someone else will come there, or no, what, my spouse is not agreeing to it. So you don't want to get involved with all that. So the pre-qualifying process itself, you make sure that is all the parties are involved. The one-legged appointments, you don't want to do that, right? Again, that's why, I mean, you need to prop them, ask the who else will be involved in the decisions. Are you the only person? Are you the only, or in the mortgage thing, when you're actually getting the mortgage and all that, if that person is saying that yes, it's only going to be in my name, and when you put the mortgage application, ask them for those mortgage papers and all. So at that time also, it's a point where you can evaluate, is this person, it's actually going to be one person, or is it someone else is also going to come in the decision making, right? And you be flexible in booking the appointment when all parties are available. Again, that's why you have to actually give them options. Okay, I'm available at Wednesday at 3 p.m. Does that work for both of you? If not, I can come at 5 o'clock, right? Make sure that is all. Your goal is to get all the people on the table when you're pre-qualifying the process. Like, that's where all the objections. Otherwise, you will later on, you will find that some things which is not going to agree with one of the parties, and then whatever the effort you did, it's going to go no use, right? So just imagine this last point, what is prospecting and what is not. Don't think that prospecting is different than marketing, right? So your advertising or marketing, whatever you call it, right? I mean, the prospecting is calling past clients. Definitely it is prospecting. Like, I mean, you're getting connected, you're asking for business, you're asking for reference and all that. Calling your center of influence. The center of influence is basically people whom you know very well, your close friends and all that. You're actually, that is prospecting. You're reminding them you're in this business, or are they willing to give you any reference and all that, right? Calling expired listing. Like, I mean, if any, you go into the MLS, check the expired listing and find out the owners and calling them, that is prospecting, right? Calling for sale by owners, like, I mean, that's also prospecting. Like, if anybody actually in the street or in that area, that somebody, a seller, is actually doing it on their own, that for sale by owners, calling them. And calling hot callings for listings, right? I mean, your own listings, you're calling up people, calling other agents, and that is definitely prospecting. And spreading the word around is definitely door knocking. Absolutely. Again, there is mixed response about door knocking. Some people say that it's waste of time, some people say that it is really good. Regardless, it's not a waste of time. It's actually, I can tell you that a lot of people actually walk on the street, they are giving that to that community, that message, like, they are active. People will actually watching that. You may not get an all houses you're going to knock it, they're not going to maybe open it. But again, as I said, that your job is to look for that door who's going to say yes to you. You may be knocking 100 doors, but it's only your focus is to who's going to open that for once, right? And hosting open house is definitely prospecting, because you will get a lot of leads, and people will be coming in. You can actually get an opportunity to get reference and all that. And the WCE is the withdrawn, cancel, expired listing. Like, look at the MLS and see what is. So this is kind of prospecting. And what is in prospecting is mailing calendars and newsletters. So that's not prospecting, that is you're advertising yourself. Don't think that, okay, I have sent newsletters and all that. That's not prospecting. So you're not actually reaching out to that, can go to somebody's trash, I think, right? Setting up website, again, that is actually a marketing or your advertisement tool. That's not prospecting, right? And updating your database is something which is, that's for yourself. Like, you need to update that website and the database. That's for your own reference and all that. Joining services and organizations and sponsoring an event. So these things are on the right hand side is not like really a prospecting. Don't get confused with what is prospecting and what isn't, because my point here is, if you're doing this on the right hand side point and thinking that you're going to get business, not true, right? I mean, you have to do the left hand side points, which is really reaching out to people and talking to them and asking for business. So it's very important that you really differentiate that, right? So again, I mean, we have spoken about this topic also, pre-qualifying. It is important, guys, like, even at this time, as I said, that the market is very tough, and this is the testing period. So because you as a professional, it is you know what to say and how to maneuver the conversation. That's what it's actually going to help you to set you apart from the professional. So pre-qualifying is an important thing. You will get good leads from by prospecting it, not that you're going to lose any customers and all that. Any question, any comment? Chat box.
Thank you, man. It was good. It was really good. Thank you so much for your real presentation. And always buyers asking this time, whoever want to buy it, they asking, is it a good time or I have to wait? I know that's so what's the answer for it? So still the people are thinking about the house price going like crazy down, but
yeah, I mean, you know what, I mean, you have to tell them, listen, like, I mean, we are, first of all, we only know what we know. Like, I mean, we are not the economist, right? I mean, it is market trend. Is it a good time to buy? Absolutely. Like, you don't want to commit anything, but at the same time, show them the market trend. What are selling in that area? What are the actually, in that MLS? That's what I was telling. Like, you need to actually share them the data. This is what it's actually selling in this area. So it's definitely, again, we don't know what the market is going to. Only thing we know that if the interest rate is going to go up, it's going to be harder for anybody to buy in the future, right? So if that person is actually able to buy it, it definitely, you should actually show them the data and tell them to look at the trend, like, and that's what you have to actually really help them to say that, instead of committing anything. Yes, the prices are going to go up or go down, because we don't know. I don't think, I mean, we should actually say that. Show them the data. And I also let them know, like, I mean, if the mortgage is going to go up, obviously your affordability is only going to go up. Like, I mean, it will be if interest, I mean, the down payment and all that will be. So when you're taking all that into consideration, yes, this is the right time to buy it.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Okay. All right. And Kanna, you're there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's top of the hour, so I will wrap up. We can I can like, I mean, I have something else to go and take care. So let me just close this call, and we will pick it up next week, unless, I'm not sure that you're planning to stay.
Nope, I think we're all good for today.
All right. Okay, Kanna. So we will be in touch. Thank you all, and we'll talk to you again.
All
Have
right.
a good weekend.
See everyone soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Company, ARASA. ARASA Ride Sharing Company, ARASA.ca என்ற இணையதளத்துக்கு சென்று The ARASA Drivers ஆப்பினை டவுன்லோட் செய்து டிரைவர்ஸாக வேலை வாய்ப்பை பெறுங்கள். மாதாந்தம் $4,000 வரை சம்பாதியுங்கள். வணிக நிறுவனங்கள் ARASA இணையதளத்தின் மூலம் மளிகை பொருட்கள் மற்றும் உணவுப் பொருட்களை விற்பதோடு வாடிக்கையாளர்களுக்கு டெலிவரி செய்யலாம். தமிழில் தகவல்களை அறியாளையுங்கள். GTA பற்றி 40 ஆண்டுகள் அறிந்து கொண்டவரும் வீடு விற்பனை துறை ஊடாக மக்களால் அறியப்பட்டவருமான சிவா பிள்ளை. 416-854-0005. Taxi broker licensed by City of Toronto. ஏ ராசா ரைட் ஷேரிங் கம்பெனி ARASA.ca என்ற இணையதளத்துக்கு சென்று ஏ ராசா டிரைவர்ஸ் ஆப்பினை டவுன்லோட் செய்து டிரைவர்ஸாக வேலை வாய்ப்பை பெறுங்கள். மாதாந்தம் $4000 வரை சம்பாதியுங்கள். வணிக நிறுவனங்கள் ஏ ராசா இணையதளத்தின் மூலம் மளிகைப் பொருட்கள் மற்றும் உணவுப் பொருட்களை விற்பதோடு வாடிக்கையாளர்களுக்கு டெலிவரி செய்யலாம். தமிழில் தகவல்களை அறியாளையுங்கள். GTA பற்றி 40 ஆண்டுகள் அறிந்து கொண்டவரும் வீடு விற்பனை துறையூடாக மக்களால் அறியப்பட்டவருமான சிவா பிள்ளை. 416-854-0005. Taxi broker licensed by City of Toronto.